like that. I love it.
Ray Brown's Talkin' Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
By Vortex Optics, with the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
And Quest Nature Tours, offering expert-led small group tours for bird and nature lovers since 1970. Explore exceptional journeys around the world at questnaturetours.com.
And Beautyo Books, an independent, family-owned bookstore carrying one of the largest selections of birding books in the world. BeautyOBooks.com.
Good morning. Welcome to our show number 912, featuring birding bulletins, backyard birds and Christmas lights, and in the news, bats and batteries. And beginning with a Way Out West raptor-infused audio postcard from our friend Haley Perez.
Hi everyone, this is Haley from San Diego. I am listening to a pair of red-shouldered hawks from my backyard. They've been calling back and forth to each other all morning. This pair has been hanging around our house for quite some time, and I get to see them almost every day. They're really beautiful, one of my favorite kinds of hawks, and I just love the sound that they make. Happy birding!
Happy birding to you, Haley. Thank you so much. And by the way, we love getting audio postcards. Easy to do. Just take your smartphone or a little recorder of some sort. Go out where you're looking at birds and try to get a little bit of sound from the birds if you can, or just give a description of what you're seeing. And just mail me the file, email. Just send it to ray@talkinbirds.com. If you need any help with that, let us know, and we are standing by to assist. ray@talkinbirds.com is the email address. About the bats, on November 29th, the Biden administration declared the northern long-eared bat endangered in a last-ditch effort to save a species driven to the brink of extinction by the fungal disease known as white nose syndrome. The listing means that federal agencies must consult with the Fish and Wildlife Service to be sure projects that they fund or authorize, like timber harvests, prescribed fires, and highway construction, for example, do not jeopardize the northern long-eared bat's existence. Also, there's some potentially good news for bats. And now back to birds. It's our mystery bird. This is a preview of our contest coming up in just a little bit. And a reminder that something we started a few weeks ago and continuing into the first week of February. Every mystery bird contest winner will be entered into a drawing for a beautiful prize from our friends at Vortex Optics. It's an 8x42 Vortex Viper binocular. So we'll show some love to the randomly chosen winner on our closest to Valentine's Day show on February 12th. So a little extra thing for our mystery bird contest. Our bird this morning is a large seagoing species of coastal waters, wintering in most North American coastal waters, breeding in northern Canada and Alaska. It's related to mergansers and mallards and teals and gadwalls, and it dives for food like clams and mussels. The male is almost entirely black. Around the eyes it shows an inverted comma-shaped white patch. The bill is black at its bulging base with reddish sides and an orange tip. The female is pretty much a uniform dark brownish with a dark gray bill. A description and the sound of our mystery bird and beautiful prizes include a $15 certificate for Beautyo Books, home of one of the largest selections of birding books in the world, and a month's supply of crunchy and delicious Mary's Gone crackers, Super Seed crackers. All on our mystery bird contest, and maybe a bonus prize too if we have time for that this morning. It's that time of year to make sure the coffee lovers on your gift list get some wonderful coffee for the holidays and in the new year. So we're happy to report that for a limited time, you can enjoy a 30% discount on an assorted case of 12-ounce bags of delicious Birds and Beans coffee. Birds and Beans is certified Smithsonian bird-friendly coffee and pays special attention to the way coffee farming affects people and farms and forests and birds. It's a perfect bird-friendly gift for the holiday season. Order now before the offer ends. Just go to birdsandbeanscoffee.com to take advantage of the special offer. That address again is birdsandbeanscoffee.com. We'd like to offer royal salutes, and this is one right now to more Talkin' Birds ambassadors helping us get the word out about birds and conservation. And thank you to a couple of Massachusetts listeners today. Chris S. from Plainfield, Massachusetts. He says, glad you're here. Loves snow geese and tracking them on the eastern shore. Thank you, Chris. And thank you to Jim Joyce from Woburn, Massachusetts. Jim says, I'm the co-founder of the Friends of Horn Pond group on Facebook, dedicated to the conservation and preservation of the Horn Pond Conservation Area in Woburn. Jim is doing some wonderful work there. We'll talk about that some more. He sent us another note just yesterday, I think, about some of the work they're doing. So we want to highlight that, and we'll do so very shortly. So thank you, Jim, for becoming a Talkin' Birds ambassador. And here's another ambassador talking about why she became one.
My name is Rochelle Backer, and I live in Arlington, Tennessee. I became a Talkin' Birds ambassador because I love to talk to other people about birding, and I wanted to introduce them to Ray Brown's Talkin' Birds. I struck up a conversation with a gentleman while looking at bird baths. He started sharing stories about his hummingbirds. I could tell he was really excited about birds, so I told him about the show and handed him a couple cards.
Talkin' Birds listeners, we hope you'll join our ambassadors family at talkinbirds.com. Join today, and thanks.
And thank you, Rachel. Well, Talkin' Birds listeners, it's a busy time of year, but if you can spare a couple of minutes, you could become a Talkin' Birds ambassador and think you have a fun time doing it. That's what our ambassadors tell us. Talkinbirds.com is the place via the Get Involved tab. One other quick note for current Talkin' Birds ambassadors, check your email box or maybe your spam or junk folders for a special note from our Ambassador-in-Chief, Freya McGregor. It's about something that we think is pretty cool. Still to come today, we'll talk with two birding superstars, Paul Basich and Wayne Peterson, about the December edition of their Birding Community E-Bulletin. Also today, Mike O'Connor will join us for a Let's Ask Mike live segment about the effect on birds, if any, of putting Christmas lights on your outdoor trees and bushes. And up next, a fearsome freeloader is today's featured feathered friend, presented by Birdwatching Magazine. For more than a quarter century, Birdwatching has been North America's premier magazine about wild birds and birding. When is a hunter also a parasite? Answer: when its name is Stercorarius parasiticus, or the parasitic Jaeger. A gull relative and a relentless persecutor and tormentor of small gulls and terns, chasing them until they drop their food and then swooping down to catch the morsel in midair. This only works on about a quarter of the attempts, though, so this avian kleptoparasite then has to find its own food. But it seems to work out, since the parasitic Jaeger outnumbers all other Jaeger species around the world. Light form adult parasitic Jaegers have a brown back and mainly white underparts. In the dark form, they're mostly dark brown with a dark cap, and there's an intermediate phase with pale underparts. The wings are long and pointed, and the tail is diamond-shaped with elongated central tail feathers. It's generally silent at sea, though it will make this shrill sound, which gulls and terns may hear as drop it. The parasitic Jaeger, which breeds along the coast of Alaska and in northern Canada and winters in warm waters from the Carolinas and California down into Mexico, the West Indies, and points south, is a member of the skua family. Since that word sounds like the name of a long spike used to hold meat in place while it cooks, right, a skewer, our friend Sue McGrath suggests that a group of these birds should be called a shish kebab of skuas. The parasitic Jaeger, also known as the parasitic skua or the Arctic skua, Stercorarius parasitica, is today's Talkin' Birds featured feathered friend. And welcome again to our show number 912. We're about to welcome a couple of gentlemen who fall into that group of folks who have forgotten more about birds than most of us will ever dream of knowing. And we're about to introduce them right now. We have one of them connected to Zoom and are attempting to reconnect the other. Wayne Peterson is director of the Massachusetts Important Bird Areas Program at Mass Audubon and Christmas Bird Count regional editor for National Audubon. He's led birding trips around the world. Paul Basich has been birding most of his life. He's led many birding trips, including to Cuba. He served as editor of the American Birding Association's Birding Magazine, served as ABA's Director of Conservation Policy, among many other things. And together they publish a marvelous monthly electronic newsletter called the Birding Community E-Bulletin, which offers regular features about birds and birding and bird conservation. And at least one of them is here with us right now to talk about the newly released December issue, and that would be Paul Basich. Good morning, Paul.
With you.
Good to have you with us. Are we getting a little feedback here? I'm not sure. We'll keep on and see how we do. Wayne Peterson was with us just moments ago and somehow has drifted away from Zoom world, so we're attempting to reconnect him. So we'll focus on you, Paul, and I think you can handle it here. I'm pretty sure.
I hope I can pinch hit for Wayne. Yes, thank you.
I think you can. And speaking of something rare, Rarity Focus is one of the regular features of the Birding Community E-Bulletin. And this week, your bird is the fan-tailed warbler.
Yes, with each monthly edition, we focus on a bird that was particularly interesting in terms of a rarity in North America. And this last month, November, there were two fan-tail warblers. This is a species endemic to Mexico and northern Central America. Mm-hmm. And there have been about a dozen records historically in Arizona and one or two in Texas and New Mexico, respectively. And last month, there were two of them that actually appeared in Arizona, one in the Phoenix area and one in the Tucson area. The Phoenix fantail warbler was there about 2 or 3 days, but the one in the Tucson area stayed almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
And just departed a few days ago, and it was seen and photographed by many people. Mm-hmm. What's interesting in particular, Ray, is the species is migratory, with the northern population being migratory, the northern population in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And most of the records that we've seen in the U.S. have been in May. And these have been assumed to be migratory overshoots. They've gone farther north than they intended. Well, we're scratching our heads wondering why these two guys appeared so late in the season. And we're still scratching our heads, and it's really very interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next thing on your list here, all these regular features, is your IBA News, and this one is about an Isembic win. It sounds like poetry, an Isembic pentameter. That's not it at all, though. This is a national wildlife refuge.
Isembic.
Isembic.
Isembic is a wonderful refuge on the base of the Aleutians in Alaska. It's on the Alaska Peninsula. And it is both a national wildlife refuge and a wilderness area. Mm-hmm. And for many years, decades, I'd say, it's been contentious because there are two villages on either side of Isembic that want connections, and they can't get connections unless they go through the refuge. Mm-hmm. And because it's a wilderness area, that's forbidden. Anyhow, the Isembic is a very important area for Pacific brant, feeding on eelgrass, emperor geese, Steller's eider, and lots of other swans and birds of migration, waterfowl in particular. So what happened this last month is that once again, this has gone back and forth like a ping pong ball. The ball is in the court of the courts again. And we're going to see in the 12th of this month, the case will be heard yet again. Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of the conservationists and bird conservationists want to retain the integrity of the refuge in the wilderness area. And if we lose this one, it may put the entire issue of wilderness being remote and isolated from human impression. It may put the entire concept in jeopardy. So people are watching, both in terms of birds and in terms of the status of what wilderness should be.
And you say on here too, on the bulletin, you'll report on the continuing controversy in the coming months. I think we have Wayne on the phone here. If we couldn't get him on Zoom, are you there, Wayne?
I am, Ray. Yes, and I'm sorry for the issue there.
I know you weren't happy with your makeup this morning. I don't know if that played into it or not, but
it always does. It's that reflection off the high forehead.
We're glad to have you on the phone in any case. And I wanted to just ask you quickly about this new Western Hemisphere Shorebird Reserve Network Toolkit. What is this about?
Well, it basically is a descriptor for people either who are interested in or potentially involved with possibly establishing new wizard sites. In other words, it provides all of the elements that are required in terms of both the characteristics and then some strategies for getting new sites online. In other words, there's a fairly significant political component to establishing a lot of these wizard sites, these Western Hemisphere shorebird sites, because in many cases, you're dealing with other governments. They're not necessarily in North America, and in which case, in some cases, it may actually involve policy, or it may potentially impact whatever the present use is of these sites. So the toolkit is a way to sort of focus in and drill down on what's involved and the history of the program, but also specifically provide some guidance for the groups that are working to establish new wizard sites.
All right. We have a bunch of other topics here. We'll just kind of buzz through them here to point out what's on there, and we're certainly talking about avian flu, particularly with Peru and pelicans there. And then waterfowl numbers, really some interesting information about that. We hear about waterfowl doing well compared with other birds, but it seems to be a little more complicated than that. But Wayne, let me skip ahead to the Christmas bird count, which you're certainly involved in. Give us just a quick thumbnail, if you could, on your tip of the month here.
It's coming up for this current Christmas bird count season. The 14th of December through the 5th of January is the window when Christmas bird counts can be conducted and then ultimately submitted and edited and the results finally published. So what I would recommend for anybody who is interested in either finding out more about the Christmas bird count or arguably participating is to go to National Audubon's ChristmasBirdCount.org. That'll get you there. And it will give you essentially, when you were talking about the workbook type arrangement for Wizard, it does the same thing for the Christmas bird count. In other words, it gives you all the information that somebody needs to know, whether they're, veterans or first-timers, and it will sort of take you step by step through the steps that are required in order to get yourself registered on account and in touch with whoever the compiler is. And then the compiler of each one of the individual Christmas counts works with the participants for that season and ensures that they get teamed up with other people or people that maybe have more experience than they do or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then after the count day is over, there's a compilation which is accomplished in various ways, and I won't go into all the details there. But the bottom line is that the finalized data from the Christmas count for that particular year or in that particular circle is ultimately submitted to National Audubon's Christmas bird count website, where it's then scrutinized, edited, comments added, species deleted on an as-need basis if for whatever the reason there's some question about either the number of individuals or the actual species. And then it comes to me at some point. So in the case of the New England region, where I'm the regional compiler, I have to go through each one of the New England Christmas bird counts sort of with a microscope, as it were. And then if there are no problems, I check it off as done and so on. And then at the end of the season, the Christmas bird count season, I have to pull together sort of a summary compilation so that for all over the country and Canada and even some areas in Central America where Christmas bird counts are conducted, there are regional editors who do the same thing that I do. And what we do at the end of the period is to submit our summaries to Jeff LeBaron, who heads up the whole Christmas bird count program for National Audubon.
And it's all in the...
then pulls together a national summary of this year's count.
Indeed, and all in the name of citizen science, ultimately. Well, thank you for that.
One of the oldest running citizen science projects since 1900. It was first established. Yep.
Indeed. The bulletin also has some great holiday gifts. I'll just leave it at that. There's lots of great stuff that you recommend on there. And we are so running out of time. I'll give Paul the last word, Paul, just to tell folks how to connect and get the Birding Community E-Bulletin.
Well, the easiest way, I could read to you the long URL, but I won't do that. People should Google Birding Community E-Bulletin. It comes right up. Look at any of the issues there. Go to the end of any of the issues, and it'll provide the URL where you can sign up to get our free Birding Community E-Bulletin on a monthly basis.
All right, and we'll also add it to our website and probably our Facebook page just to kind of add a little extra info to that. Paul Basich and Wayne Peterson in the Birding Community E-Bulletin. Paul and Wayne, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.
All right. Coming up next, it's our Mystery Bird Contest in just 1 minute. The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight. You don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field as passionate about nature as you are. Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every birder and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, an unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. If you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com. We always urge you to call as early as possible on the Mystery Bird Contest, and that kind of goes double for today. We are really pretty late here, so give us a call as soon as you can if you want to try to identify that bird or tell us what it is, in exchange for which you'll win beautiful prizes, including a $15 Beautyo Books gift certificate and a month supply of crunchy and delicious Mary's Gone crackers, Super Seed crackers. And you'll be entered in the drawing if you win of the contest here. You'll be entered in the drawing for a beautiful binocular from Vortex Optics, 8x42 Vortex Viper binocular. 781-837-4900 is the number. That would be 781-837-4900. Our mystery bird, a large seagoing species of coastal waters, wintering in most North American coastal waters and breeding in northern Canada and Alaska, related to mergansers and mallards, etc. It dives for food like clams and mussels. The male, almost entirely black around the eyes. It shows an inverted comma-shaped white patch, kind of a distinctive identifying feature there on our mystery bird contest. Up next, Let's Ask Mike, live in just 1 minute. Beautyo Books carries one of the largest selections of birding books in the world. New, used, and rare books covering everything from backyard birding to general ornithology, from field guides to photography skills, biography, fiction, and humor. You'll find it all, along with the knowledgeable customer service you've been looking for, in one convenient place. BeautyOBooks.com. B-U-T-E-O. BeautyOBooks.com.
Quest Nature Tours has offered exceptional tours for bird and nature lovers since 1970. In 2023, join us to Quest for the Quetzal in Costa Rica or our brand new Zambia safari. See amazing wildlife and explore habitats with travel companions who truly enjoy nature. Talkin' Birds listeners receive a $150 credit towards their first tour. Visit questnaturetours.com today. Birds and much more. Guaranteed.
Just before we fire up the mic music, here's something else from Quest Nature Tours. In 2023, you can join them in search of colorful bird life and jaguars in Brazil. And their website, again, is questnaturetours.com. We're approaching the Christmas season, and you may have noticed Christmas lights on various places like trees and bushes in front of folks' homes. Question is that a problem for birds? Our Freya McGregor, in fact, wanted to know about that, and of course she consulted Mike O'Connor, who joins us here on the phone here. Good morning, Mike.
Fire up the mic music. I like that.
You like that phrasing there? We can use that on a regular thing if you like. Well,
fire up the right.
Mike,
hey there, Freya.
Yeah.
About your Christmas lights, did you have more to add, or did I?
No, I'm just going to say, Freya wrote this note to you, and she was just wondering about birds and Christmas lights on bushes and hedges and whatnot, and netting and all that. She wondered if it's bothersome to birds or harmful to them.
Yeah, I would say in this case, this time of year, the extra lighting you put on your house, I mean, lights are never good for birds at night, but in this case, it's not that big a deal. Most of the lights are around neighborhoods where there's plenty of lights anyways. I mean, I'm cheap. I got like one light bulb in my house going, but the guy next door looks like an airport. So birds are used to us in this case, and if it was migration season, perhaps, but now the birds have settled down. And I know Freya was concerned, does it bother the roosting birds? Probably not, because if you put some lights out in a bush and it bothers the birds, they're roosting, they'll just go to a different bush. It's not, again, like during the nesting season where if you lit up the bush, the birds have their nest in there and they can't readily move it, then it'd be a problem. But this time of year, I wouldn't worry about it. And I know they have these netting lights that you just kind of push over your bushes, these big nets, but I've looked at those, and the nets are huge. The birds would easily move through those. So, Freya, in this case, I wouldn't worry too much about it. What I would point out is a couple of things that when you take your light, not so much your lights, but if you've got that plastic garland and all those things, be careful with that, because that tends to fall apart, and then you've got the plastic. I know my wife puts some stuff out, and I have to sweep up the plastic shards, not really shards, but pieces of plastic garland. You don't want to get that in the ecosystem, and you don't want the birds to find it and build a nest with it, because that doesn't work out for them. The nests tend to fall apart. And while we're talking about holidays, it's fireworks are bad, so there's one that you might want to avoid. And those fake webs you put on the trees at Halloween, birds do get caught in those. So those things are bad, but the lights, you're okay with that, right?
All right. Next time I'll ask you if your light bulb dims when your neighbor puts their Christmas lights on.
It kind of does.
All right, thank you, Mike.
You got it.
Talk to you next week. Mike O'Connor there at the famous Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod, and we're back to the Mystery Bird Contest with very little time to go, but we have we're trying to decide which caller we're going to. I'm not sure what
loud mystery bird. We have Jennifer in Brockton.
Jennifer in Brockton, Massachusetts. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Good morning. What do you think, Jennifer, on the mystery bird there?
Is it a white-winged scoter?
White-winged scoter. You are absolutely right. You sounded pretty confident, and for good reason. Congratulations, Jennifer. You are correct.
Thank you.
I wish we had time for our bonus question, but I don't think we do, but maybe next time. But we'll send you those beautiful prizes if you'll just stay on the line there.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Correctly identifying the white-winged scoter as our mystery bird. Next week, we'll have a guest from the world-famous Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Watch our Facebook page and website for details. Thanks to our amazing Talking Birds team, Debbie Bleacher, Freya McGregor, our producing engineer, Jesse Wilkins. I'm Ray Brown. See you next week.
The Bird Show. I like that.
Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
By Vortex Optics. With the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
And Quest Nature Tours, offering expert-led small group tours for bird and nature lovers since 1970. Explore exceptional journeys around the world at questnaturetours.com.
And Beautyo Books, an independent family-owned bookstore carrying one of the largest selections of birding books in the world. BeautyOBooks.com.